Imagine surviving a gun blast so brutal that your doctor can see straight into your stomach, not through an X-ray, not through a scan, with his own eyes. That is exactly what happened in 1822, when a young French-Canadian voyageur named Alexis St. was shot at close range at Michilimackinac. The wound should have killed him. Part of his lung was exposed. His stomach was torn open. Food from his breakfast spilled through the injury. Even the army surgeon treating him, William Beaumont, doubted he would live. But somehow he did. And then came the part that turned a medical disaster into one of the strangest moments in science history. The wound healed, but not completely. Instead of sealing shut, it left a permanent opening called a gastric fistula. A flap of tissue covered it like a crude valve. Press it down, and Beaumont could look directly into St. Martin's stomach while he was alive, awake, and breathing. In a world still arguing over whether digestion was caused by heat, grinding, fermentation, or some mysterious life force, this was not just rare. It was unbelievable. So Beaumont did what curious men of science in that era often did. He experimented, he tied bits of food to silk strings and lowered them through the opening into St. Martin's stomach. Then he pulled them back out to see what had changed. He collected gastric juice. He tested how different foods broke down. He even studied how emotion and stress affected digestion. Over time, these experiments helped prove that digestion was largely a chemical process, not just a matter of the stomach grinding food into mush. Beaumont eventually published 238 experiments and 51 conclusions in his 1833 book, helping lay the foundation for modern gastric physiology. But this story is not only about discovery, it is also about discomfort. Alexis St. was poor, dependent, and often worked as Beaumont's servant between experiments. He endured long fasts, repeated probing, and years of being treated less like a partner in science and more like a living opportunity. Today, the story reads like both a breakthrough and a warning. Great science was pulled from a human wound, but so were hard questions about power, consent, and the price of knowledge. So here is the bizarre truth. One of the biggest breakthroughs in the history of digestion did not begin in a polished laboratory. It began with a near-fatal accident, a hole that never closed, and a man forced to live with science staring straight into his body. And from that terrible opening, medicine learned something the world had never seen before. The stomach was not a furnace of mystery. It was a chemical engine.